Ethan couldn't sleep that night. The Queen's words echoed in his mind again and again. You saved my daughter with your blood. Now I claim you for the throne. He had been a soldier all his life. Orders, discipline, sacrifice, and that he understood. But this, a queen claiming him? A royal bond he never meant to make? It was something far beyond his world. When morning came, 2 Varelian guards escorted him through the crystal halls toward the Queen's council chamber. The palace gleamed like a sunrise, filled with soft light that reflected off walls of living crystal. Ethan walked in silence, feeling both small and out of place. The guards stopped before massive golden doors that opened without a sound. Inside, the Queen sat on a high throne of silver and light. Beside her stood Princess Lyra, calm but tense. Several alien nobles watched from the side, their glowing eyes filled with quiet disapproval. Captain Ethan Ward, the Queen began, her voice echoing softly through the chamber. Do you understand what you have done? Ethan bowed slightly. I saved your daughter's life, Your Majesty. That's all I meant to do. That is what you think you did, she said. But in giving your blood to a royal, you performed what our ancestors called the life oath. Your blood mixed with hers, and by law you now stand bound to the royal house. Ethan took a breath. I didn't know your laws. I never meant to break them. You did not break them, said the Queen. You fulfilled one. The nobles whispered among themselves. Some looked angry. Others seemed curious. The Queen raised her hand and silence fell. You are no longer merely a guest, Captain Ward. You are bound to my daughter and through her to me. Lyra looked down, her silver cheeks faintly flushed. Mother, perhaps he should not be forced, but the Queen stopped her gently. My daughter, this man gave you life. Without him, you would not stand here. Our world owes him honor. Ethan shifted uncomfortably. Honor's not what I was after. I just did what any decent person would. The Queen's eyes softened slightly. That is why it matters. You acted without reward, without knowledge of gain. You gave freely. That is something our people forgot long ago. She stood from the throne and descended the steps, her tall form moving gracefully. You see, Captain Ward, our empire has grown cold. We value perfection, strength, and bloodlines, but you, a human, have reminded us of something more valuable. What's that? He asked quietly. Compassion, she said. The willingness to bleed for another. The Queen stopped in front of him. For a long moment, she simply looked at him, not as a ruler studies a soldier, but as a mother studies the man who saved her child. Finally, she said, You may think you are unworthy of this bond, but the law is older than the throne itself. Your blood flows in royal veins now. The bond cannot be undone. Lyra spoke then softly. Mother, what will happen to him? The Queen turned her gaze toward her daughter. He will stay among us. Learn our ways. Understand what his act has created. The bond will grow stronger or fade depending on his heart. Ethan exhaled slowly. So, I'm not a prisoner? The Queen gave a faint smile. A prisoner does not dine with the Queen, Captain. That evening a great banquet was held. The hall shone with thousands of floating lights. Music filled the air. Soft, otherworldly sounds like wind moving through glass. Ethan sat near the Queen and Lyra, surrounded by nobles who whispered behind elegant hands. The food was strange but good. Fruits that glowed faintly, drinks that sparkled like stars. Lyra leaned closer to him and whispered, They talk about you. Some fear you changed me. Others think the bond makes you dangerous. Dangerous? He asked, half amused. To them, she said, You are human, unpredictable. You acted from heart, not command. That is something they cannot measure. Ethan smiled faintly. Guess I'm breaking alien rules again. Lyra's lips curved into a quiet smile. Perhaps that is what our world needs. The Queen watched them both in silence. Her gaze was unreadable. Part ruler, part mother, part something else. After the feast, she asked Ethan to walk with her through the royal gardens. The air was cool and filled with drifting lights, small living creatures that floated like glowing petals. Tell me of your world, the Queen said. Ethan thought for a moment. It's messy, loud. People argue, laugh, cry, dream. But we keep trying, and no matter how many times we fall. The Queen listened closely. That is what I see in you, Captain. The will to keep trying. Our empire has forgotten how to fail gracefully. They stopped near a pool of shimmering water. Reflections of the twin moons danced across its surface. Your daughter is kind, Ethan said. She'll make a good ruler one day. She will? said the queen softly. But kindness alone is fragile. She will need strength and connection. Perhaps that is why fate brought you here. He frowned. Fate? The queen's golden eyes glimmered. There are forces older than science, Captain Ward. The bond of blood is not random. It may be that the universe chose you, not by mistake, but by design. Ethan shook his head lightly. I'm just a soldier, not a chosen one. Perhaps, she said, her tone almost amused. But you are a soldier whose blood changed a royal line. Whether you wish it or not, you are part of our future now. Over the next weeks, Ethan began to learn the ways of the Varelian people. He trained with their soldiers, studied their customs, and shared stories of Earth. At first, many distrusted him, but slowly their fear faded. The human's warmth, his humor, his patience, made even the coldest aliens soften. Lyra often joined him, curious about human life. She listened as he described rain, oceans, and sunsets that burned orange instead of violet. She laughed when he tried Varelian food and made faces at its strange taste. Bit by bit, they grew closer. The bond between them wasn't only of blood anymore, it was something deeper, quieter. One evening, as they walked through the palace balcony overlooking the city, Lyra said softly, "My mother says you changed me. I feel it too. My body is stronger, my heart beats differently. But more than that, I see the world differently now." "How?" Ethan asked. "I used to believe strength was in perfection. Now I think it's in imperfection, in caring even when it hurts." He smiled gently. "Then maybe we both learned something." They stood side by side, watching the lights below, but the peace was short-lived. A messenger arrived suddenly, bowing before the queen and speaking in their musical language. Ethan couldn't understand, but he saw the queen's expression harden. Lyra turned to him, pale. "The council wants you removed from Varel. They say your presence disrupts the royal order." Ethan straightened. "Removed? As in, sent back?" "If they can," she said. "But they fear your blood bond. They say if you leave, my life could be affected too. Some think you should stay. Others want you gone." The queen looked at Ethan. "The council is divided. They see you as a threat to purity. They forget that purity has no meaning when compassion is lost." Ethan met her eyes. "What do you believe?" The queen was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "I believe the universe sent you here for a reason. I will not let fear erase that reason." The next day, the queen called the full council. Nobles, warriors, and scholars gathered in the grand hall. The queen stood before them, tall and radiant. Ethan stood at her side, feeling the weight of hundreds of eyes. One elder rose. "Your Majesty, this human has corrupted royal blood. Tradition demands purity. He must be sent away." Another shouted, "He brings chaos." The queen raised her hand and silence fell. "Enough," she said. "Tradition built this empire, yes, but compassion will save it. This human risked his life for my daughter. His blood did not corrupt her. It saved her. It made her stronger." Her voice rose, calm but commanding. "You call it chaos. I call it evolution." Whispers filled the hall. Some nobles bowed their heads. Others turned away. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "I am alive because of him. His blood flows in my veins, and I am proud of it. If you cast him out, you cast out the part of me that lives." The hall fell silent. The queen looked at Ethan. "Captain Ward, would you return to your world if given the choice?" He thought carefully, then said, "Earth is my home. But maybe home is where you're needed most. And right now I think that's here." The queen smiled faintly, not as a ruler but as someone deeply moved. "Then so be it," she said. "From this day forward, Captain Ethan Ward of Earth shall be known as blood-bound guardian of Varel. He will live among us, as proof that compassion is stronger than war." The hall erupted, some cheering, some protesting, but the queen's decision was final. After the gathering, Ethan stood on the balcony with the queen and Lyra. The twin moons shone above, and the wind carried a soft hum across the sky. "You changed more than one life, Captain," the queen said. "You changed a world." Ethan looked at her, half smiling. Not bad for a guy who just wanted to help. Lyra smiled too. "You didn't just help, Ethan. You gave us hope." The queen looked at them both, her daughter and the human whose blood had bridged two worlds. "Perhaps," she said softly, "hope is the truest royalty of all." The three stood together in the golden light of Virel's moons, a queen, a princess, and a human who had become something far greater than either world expected. And for the first time in generations, the stars above Virel shimmered not with the light of war, but with the quiet glow of peace. The battlefield was silent now. Smoke drifted across the ruins of the alien outpost, and the red sun of the planet Virel burned low in the horizon. The war between humans and the Virelian Empire had ended in an uneasy peace, but remnants of it still haunted the edge of the galaxy. Among the wreckage, a human soldier named Captain Ethan Ward sat beside a damaged medical pod. His arm was bandaged, his armor cracked, and his mind tired. He had come here with a small rescue team, searching for survivors of the final battle. When the rescue scanners beeped weakly, Ethan expected to find another fallen soldier. But instead he found her, Princess Lyra of Virel, the last daughter of the Virelian queen. She was unconscious, her silver skin pale, her breathing shallow. The medical pod that held her was broken beyond repair. Ethan called for help, but communication was down. His team had already evacuated. Only silence answered him. He looked at the princess again. She was barely alive, her heart slowing. The scanner showed one message flashing in red. Critical blood loss. Species-compatible transfusion required. He frowned. Virelians had very different biology from humans. Different DNA, different systems. But somehow the medical AI said partial compatibility. Partial, he muttered. That means it might work or might kill us both. He looked at her face, soft, faintly glowing under the broken light. She was the enemy once, but now just a life slipping away in front of him. Ethan made his choice. He tore the tube from the med kit and connected it to his arm, letting his own blood flow through the emergency filter and into hers. The process was painful. The machine hissed and beeped, warning him repeatedly. Unstable transfer. Yeah, I know, Ethan groaned, his vision dimming. As his blood mixed with hers, her body trembled. For a moment he thought he had killed her, but then her heart rate steadied. Her breathing deepened. Her silver skin warmed, and her eyes, pale violet like the dawn sky, opened weakly. You are human, she whispered. Her voice was soft and unsure, like someone waking from a long dream. Ethan smiled faintly. Yeah, don't move. You're safe now. Why? She asked. Your kind fought mine. Why save me? He sighed. Because someone had to. Then he passed out. When Ethan woke again, he was no longer in the ruins. The air was clean and cool, the light golden. He was lying on a bed softer than any he'd felt in months. His body felt strange. He was weaker, but alive. He sat up slowly, looking around. The room was bright and filled with crystalline shapes. The walls shimmered faintly, alive with blue energy lines. He recognized none of it, then he heard a voice. You should rest, human. He turned and saw Princess Lyra standing beside the bed. She was dressed in a white ceremonial robe, her silver hair tied back. Her skin had regained its natural glow. Ethan blinked. You're alive. You gave your blood, she said softly. Our healers say your act saved me. No human should have survived the transfer. Your body fought death and won. He tried to smile. Guess I'm stubborn. She looked at him with curiosity, as though trying to understand something deeper than science. Your blood is strange. It changed mine a little. I can feel your warmth. It is not cold like our kind. Ethan wasn't sure what to say. He had only done what he thought was right. A moment later, the door opened. Two tall guards stepped in, their armor glowing faintly. Between them walked a regal figure, taller than Lyra, older, her eyes sharper, her posture unshakable. Queen Seraphine of Virel. Ethan tried to stand, but the guards raised their weapons slightly. The queen lifted her hand, stopping them. Let him be, she said. Her voice was calm but filled with power. She studied Ethan carefully. So you are the human who gave his blood to my daughter? Yes, your majesty, Ethan said. I didn't plan it, I just couldn't let her die. The queen walked closer, her gaze piercing him like sunlight through glass. Your kind destroyed half our fleets, yet you risked your life for our heir. Why? Ethan hesitated. Because war ends someday. Someone has to start peace. The queen was silent for a long moment. Then she said, Peace is built by those willing to bleed for others. Perhaps you are one of them. Lyra smiled faintly at her mother's words, but the queen's tone remained unreadable. You will stay here until your health is restored. The queen said finally, You are a guest of the Virelian court. Guest. The word sounded polite, but in the queen's tone it also sounded like prisoner. Days passed. Ethan was given a chamber, food, and strange glowing medicines that healed faster than human technology could. The palace was a world of crystal and light, alive, elegant, and cold. Virelians were not cruel, but they were distant. They watched Ethan with curiosity and suspicion. Only Lyra visited often. She would bring him food herself, even though servants were supposed to. "You look better," she said one day, placing a bowl on the table. "Thanks to your people's technology," Ethan said, smiling. "I think I owe you for saving me back." She sat across from him. "You risked everything for me. My mother says such courage is rare, even among Virelians. She has taken interest in you." Ethan raised a brow. "Interest?" Lyra looked uncertain. "She wants to see how your blood affected me. It may have bonded us in some way. Our healers are confused. My readings are no longer purely Virelian." He stared. "You mean part of me is inside you?" "In a way," she admitted. "Not just your blood. Something else, something that keeps my body warm. They call it human essence." Ethan laughed softly. "Guess I shared more than I meant to." But when he looked at her, he saw something different in her eyes, gratitude. "Yes, but also something new," she said quietly. "You are not like the soldiers I was taught to hate, and you're not like the enemy I was told to fear." Their eyes met. The silence between them felt gentle, almost fragile. But peace never stays simple. That night, Ethan was awakened by a soft hum. The lights in his room dimmed. The air changed, denser, heavier. A shadow appeared by the door. The queen entered. She wore a long robe of dark silver that shimmered like liquid metal. Her crown glowed faintly and her expression was unreadable. Ethan stood quickly. "Your Majesty." "Sit, Captain," she said calmly. "We must speak." He obeyed, uncertain. She stepped closer. "My scientist confirmed something today. Your blood not only saved my daughter, it merged with her cells. That should be impossible." "I didn't know it could happen," he said. "I just wanted to save her." The queen studied him. "You gave her your blood. In our culture, that is more than a medical act. It is a sacred bond, one that ties lives together." Ethan frowned. "I didn't mean to—" "I know," she interrupted gently. "But meaning does not change reality." She moved closer until he could see the faint reflection of himself in her golden eyes. "You are human, fragile, yet your blood defied our science. My daughter carries it now. You have changed her future and ours." He swallowed. "What happens now?" The queen's voice softened but carried power beneath it. "Virelian law says the one who gives royal blood becomes part of the royal line. My daughter owes you her life, but by law, you belong to the crown." Ethan froze. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said slowly, "that the queen herself must decide your fate." "And I have decided?" Her eyes glimmered with strange warmth. "You saved my daughter with your blood, Captain Ward. Now I claim you for the throne." Ethan stared, heart racing, unsure if he'd just been honored or captured. The queen turned and left, her robe trailing like liquid moonlight. Outside, the night sky of Virel burned with twin moons. Inside his chest, Ethan's heart pounded, torn between awe, fear, and something he couldn't name. Because for the first time, he realized his act of kindness might change not just one life, but an entire empire. And perhaps it had already begun.